The sun hung low over Outpost Vega 9, casting long shadows across the metallic streets and the tall storage towers. Smoke drifted lazily from the refinery chimneys, blending with the orange haze of the planet's thin atmosphere. It was a rough world, far from the comforts of Earth where the strong often bullied the weak. Ravi, a middle-aged miner with calloused hands and tired eyes, wiped sweat from his brow. He had spent another 12 hours digging through the rocky tunnels beneath the outpost, extracting rare minerals that would soon power starships across the galaxy. He was known among the workers as a quiet man, honest and dependable, but he had little patience for the arrogance of the outpost guards. Ravi's day had been long, but he needed to stop by the Stellar Spoon, the only diner on the outpost that served hot meals. Its walls were lined with faded posters of space fleets and ancient heroes. The air smelled of fried protein and synthetic coffee. As he stepped inside, he noticed the usual crowd of tired miners and travelers, all looking for warmth and a meal. "Evening, Ravi," called Mira, the diner's owner. Her hair was tied back in a messy braid, and her apron had a stain that refused to come out. "Long day?" Ravi smiled faintly. "You know it, Mira. The tunnels were full of rock slides today. Took more effort than usual." Mira poured him a cup of steaming coffee. "Here, take this first. You'll need it." Ravi took a sip, letting the warmth spread through his chest. For a moment he could forget the weight of the day, but his peace was short-lived. The doors to the diner slammed open and 2 guards entered, their boots clanging against the metal floor. Their armor glinted under the lights and their expressions carried a sense of unnecessary authority. The diner fell quiet as the patrons watched them approach Ravi. "You," one of the guards barked. "Step aside. We're inspecting this place." Ravi's brow furrowed. "I haven't done anything wrong." "I just came to eat," the guard sneered. "Rules are rules. Move." Ravi tried to stay calm, but the guard grabbed his arm roughly. "I said move." Mira stepped forward. "Hey, don't touch him. He's a customer." The second guard smirked. "Quiet, woman. He needs to learn respect." Ravi's heart raced. He wasn't afraid of violence, but he knew resisting the guards here could get him thrown into the outpost cells or worse. He let them push him toward the corner of the diner, hoping they would get bored and leave. The guards shoved him roughly to the floor, and a few chairs toppled. Patrons gasped, but no one dared interfere. Ravi gritted his teeth, enduring the pain. His thoughts flickered to his son, Thomas, who worked far from this harsh planet. Thomas was no ordinary man. He had trained in Earth's most elite security programs and now commanded one of the most important defense fleets in the solar system. But here, in Vega 9, none of the guards knew who his father was. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the guards left, laughing as they went. The diner remained silent. Ravi slowly rose, brushing dust from his uniform. Mira hurried to help him. "Are you all right?" she asked, her voice trembling. Ravi nodded, hiding the pain. "I will be. Don't worry." But inside, anger burned quietly. He didn't seek revenge. That wasn't his way. Yet he knew that if the guards realized who his son was, the outcome would have been very different. Thomas had authority that stretched across planets, fleets ready at his command, and a reputation that demanded respect. Ravi left the diner with his meal wrapped in a metallic container, trying to focus on the simple things. He walked toward the small quarters he rented near the refinery. As he walked, he glanced at the night sky where distant stars glittered like tiny diamonds. Each star reminded him of Earth and the life his son now led. Meanwhile, far above Vega 9, Thomas sat in the command bridge of the Vigilant Star, his eyes scanning a digital map of the sector. He had just received reports of increasing unrest in outposts on the outer planets, including Vega 9. "Father's outpost?" he muttered, frowning. "Yes, Commander," said his aide, a young officer named Leon. "There have been reports of misconduct by local security teams. Nothing severe yet, but it could escalate." Thomas's jaw tightened. "Keep a closer watch. I want to know everything that happens there, and make sure my father is safe." Back on the ground, Ravi reached his quarters. He placed his meal on the small table and sat in silence. His mind wandered not to the guards or the rough treatment he had endured, but to Thomas. Even as a child, Thomas had dreamed of flying among the stars, of protecting others, of making a difference. And now he commanded fleets that could defend entire planets. Ravi felt a quiet pride swell inside him. The night deepened and the outpost settled into uneasy quiet. Ravi finished his meal, careful to avoid waste, and prepared for another day in the mines. He didn't expect the world to change overnight. He didn't crave power or attention, yet he could not deny that life had a strange way of connecting people across distances. Unbeknownst to him, a subtle shift had begun. The incident at the diner would not be forgotten, and the story of Ravi, the humble miner, and his son Thomas, the fleet commander, was just beginning. Across space, sensors aboard the Vigilant Star picked up unusual energy signatures around Vega 9. Small at first, almost imperceptible, they hinted at activity that could threaten the outpost's safety. Thomas's eyes narrowed. "Prepare the shuttle," he ordered. "I'm going down there personally." Back at the outpost, Ravi prepared his equipment for the next mining shift. He did not know his son was already planning a journey across the stars to ensure his safety. Yet in some strange way, he felt a quiet sense of reassurance. Something told him that the universe had not forgotten him, and that even in harsh places like Vega 9, justice could arrive in unexpected ways. As the night winds swept across the metal streets, Ravi gazed at the horizon. The stars were brighter than ever, and the distant hum of spacecraft engines hinted at possibilities beyond his understanding. Tomorrow he would return to the mines, face the challenges, and continue living his simple life. But soon the universe would remind him that even the most ordinary people could have extraordinary connections. And somewhere in the darkness of space, Thomas prepared to bridge the gap between the stars and the outpost, unaware of the full challenges that awaited both father and son. The morning sun rose over Outpost Vega 9, painting the metal streets in golden light. Ravi tightened his helmet strap and adjusted his mining tools, preparing for another long day underground. The events at the diner still lingered in his mind, but he forced himself to focus. In the mines, there was only work, effort, and endurance. Yet the air above the outpost was not quiet. High in the sky, a sleek shuttle descended from orbit, its silver hull glinting in the sunlight. The people of Vega 9 rarely saw such advanced spacecraft. Many assumed it belonged to the planetary authorities, but only a few knew the truth. It carried Thomas, the commander of Earth's elite defense fleet, and son of Ravi. Inside the shuttle, Thomas observed the outpost below. Sensors displayed the layout of the streets, the refineries, and the mining tunnels. He had studied every detail remotely, but seeing it in person was different. The place seemed harsh, rough, and unforgiving. Security teams were lax, equipment was outdated, and miners often worked in dangerous conditions. His father's safety depended on the strength of the outpost, and it was clear improvements were needed. "Prepare the landing bay," Thomas ordered calmly. His aide, Leon, a skilled officer, nodded and coordinated the descent. "Sensors are showing local activity near the stellar spoon," Leon reported. "No immediate threat, but the area is crowded." Thomas's lips pressed into a firm line. "Good. Keep the shuttle ready, but let's not rush. I want to observe first. Understanding the people here is more important than a show of power." Back on the streets, Ravi continued his work in the tunnels. His hands were steady, and his mind wandered to the incident at the diner. He had endured the guards' rough treatment, but he had done nothing rash. Ravi believed in patience and quiet strength. Still, he felt uneasy. Something about that morning hinted at a change, though he could not say what it was. Suddenly, a low hum vibrated through the tunnels. Machines paused, and miners exchanged confused looks. Ravi stopped and wiped sweat from his forehead, peering into the darkness. The hum grew louder, metallic and powerful, unlike anything they had heard before. The miners glanced at each other nervously. "What is that?" one of them whispered. Ravi did not answer. His instincts, honed by years of labor, told him that something unusual had arrived. He set down his tools and moved cautiously toward the surface. Above, Thomas's shuttle hovered over the landing bay. Doors opened, revealing the sleek interior and polished equipment. He stepped out with calm authority. His uniform marked him as no ordinary visitor. It carried the insignia of Earth's Defense Command, and even in the harsh sunlight of Vega 9, it shimmered with subtle elegance. People stopped and stared. Few had ever seen someone like him in person. A hush fell over the outpost as Thomas began walking toward the streets. Unlike the guards who had harassed his father, Thomas carried no threat in his movements, only confidence and purpose. Ravi emerged from the tunnels, dust covering his uniform, and froze. He did not expect to see this figure so soon. He recognized his son immediately, though years had passed since Tomas had left Earth. Pride and relief mingled in his chest. "Tomas?" Ravi called softly. The commander turned, a small smile forming on his lips. "Father." They approached each other carefully. In that brief moment, no words were necessary. The hardships of Vega 9, the dangers of the tunnels, and the rough treatment at the diner all seemed distant. This was a reunion of courage and love, silent yet powerful. Nearby, miners watched in awe. One whispered, "Is he a commander?" "Yes," another replied. "Earth's defense fleet, that's why the shuttle is here." Tomas gestured for Ravi to follow him to a safer area. "I need to see the outpost from every angle. The safety of the people is my priority, especially yours." Ravi nodded. "I just hope you don't find too many problems." Thomas's expression hardened slightly. "There are always problems. But I didn't come here to punish. I came to understand and help." Their walk through the outpost drew attention. Guards noticed the unusual presence of the fleet commander. Unlike the arrogant men who had pushed Ravi in the diner, Thomas did not yell. He did not demand obedience, yet the authority in his posture made everyone pause. As they reached the Stellar Spoon, Thomas noticed the subtle damage from the previous day's incident. Chairs were scratched, and the floor bore scuff marks from the guards' rough behavior. Mira hurried over when she recognized Ravi. "You brought someone important?" she asked nervously. "This is my son, Thomas," Ravi said quietly. "He is more than important." Mira's eyes widened as she realized who he was. "The fleet commander?" Thomas nodded politely. "I've come to observe, not to alarm. I want to ensure the safety of the people here, including those who work hard every day." The guards who had harassed Ravi earlier were summoned to the diner by their superiors, who had heard about the shuttle's arrival. Their expressions were uneasy as they saw Thomas approach. There was no shouting, no immediate punishment, yet they felt the weight of authority unlike anything they had known. Thomas studied them carefully. "Your duty is to protect," he said calmly, voice carrying across the room. "Yet protection comes with responsibility. Strength without care is meaningless." The guards shifted uneasily, their arrogance fading under his quiet, commanding presence. Some muttered apologies, while others simply lowered their eyes. Outside, the outpost continued its routine. Machines hummed, miners carried supplies, and the twin suns of Vega 9 reflected off the metallic surfaces. But a subtle shift had occurred. The presence of Thomas, the commander, had changed the atmosphere. People felt hope, and even the guards felt the weight of accountability. Ravi and Thomas walked together to the refinery district. Thomas asked questions about the tunnels, the equipment, and the challenges of mining on Vega 9. Ravi answered honestly, never exaggerating or hiding difficulties. He wanted his son to understand the truth of life here, not a polished version of it. By midday, Thomas had observed the outpost thoroughly. Sensors and drones recorded every detail. He spoke with workers, miners, and even travelers passing through. His presence was commanding yet approachable, earning the respect of those who had long felt powerless. As the sun reached its peak, Thomas paused to watch his father at work. Ravi moved with steady precision, his body conditioned by years of labor. Thomas felt a deep admiration. This was a man who had shaped life quietly, enduring hardship without complaint. He understood that true courage was not about weapons or fleets, but about resilience and integrity. "Father," Thomas said softly, "I will make sure this place is safer. No one should suffer unjustly." Ravi nodded, feeling pride and relief. "I never wanted anything for myself. I just wanted the people here to have some peace." Thomas placed a hand on his father's shoulder. "Then we will create that peace together." At that moment, sensors on Thomas's wrist beeped urgently. A small asteroid drone had been detected near one of the outer mining tunnels. Its movements were erratic, and it carried a payload that could damage the tunnel's infrastructure. "Father, stay here," Thomas instructed. "I need to investigate. Leanne, prepare the security drones." Ravi watched as his son moved with purpose. Thomas's training and experience were evident in every motion. The people of Vega 9 were about to witness a new kind of protection, one that combined intelligence, courage, and care. The miner felt a quiet thrill. Though he was just one man, his connection to Thomas meant the outpost had an unseen guardian. He realized that life could change in unexpected ways, and even in the roughest corners of the galaxy. extraordinary events were possible. The day was far from over. Challenges awaited, both in the tunnels and beyond the planet. But with Thomas's presence there was hope. And in that hope, Ravi understood something profound. The strength of one man could ripple across worlds, and the courage of ordinary people could inspire greatness in ways no one had imagined. And so the stage was set. The miner and the commander, father and son, stood together at the heart of Vega 9. The outpost would never be the same again. The sun had dipped lower over Vega 9, casting long shadows across the metallic streets. Ravi had returned to his quarters briefly, but sleep did not come easily. The hum of the mining machinery and the distant rumble of shuttle engines reminded him that life here was never simple. Yet the knowledge that Thomas, his son, was watching over the outpost gave him a quiet comfort. Above the outpost, Thomas stood on the observation deck near the landing bay, analyzing the asteroid drone detected earlier. The small craft was erratic but clearly dangerous. Its payload could collapse a mining tunnel or damage refinery equipment. Thomas's calm, disciplined mind processed options quickly. "Leon," Thomas said, his eyes fixed on the display, "we need a controlled interception. I don't want to destroy it unless absolutely necessary. The miner's safety comes first." Leon nodded, fingers dancing over the control panel. "Deploying drones now. We'll guide it away from the tunnels." In the tunnels below, miners continued their work, unaware of the approaching danger. Ravi walked among them, offering advice and quiet encouragement. He moved with experience, noting weak supports and unstable rock formations. The tunnels were treacherous, but his years of labor had taught him to anticipate problems before they happened. Suddenly, a tremor ran through the ground. Small rocks fell from the ceiling and machinery jolted. Ravi's heart skipped a beat. Something was moving above, something unnatural. "Everyone, stay calm," he called. The miners looked at him for guidance, trusting his steady presence. He motioned toward the reinforced walls of the tunnel and helped them move to safer positions. Up above, Thomas and Leon watched the asteroid drone's trajectory. It had shifted unexpectedly, moving closer to the mining tunnels despite the drone's efforts to steer it away. "Adjust the interceptors," Thomas ordered. "We cannot allow it near the miners." The drones zipped through the thin atmosphere, their sensors locking onto the rogue drone. It spun wildly, but Thomas remained composed. He had trained for situations like this, where speed, precision, and calm were essential. Below, Ravi and the miners felt the ground shake again. Dust and small debris fell, but Ravi kept them calm. "Stay together. Don't panic. We can get through this." The rogue drone's shadow swept across the tunnel entrance, a dark blur against the artificial lights. It was closer than anyone had expected. Ravi gritted his teeth, knowing the miners' lives depended on careful timing. Suddenly, an explosion of light flashed above. The drones had intercepted the asteroid drone, creating a controlled push that nudged it away from the tunnels. Sparks and smoke drifted through the air, but the miners were safe. A cheer rose from the miners, though Ravi kept a steady hand on their shoulders. "It's not over yet," he reminded them. "We need to secure the tunnels before moving forward." Thomas's voice came over the comm link. "Father, are you all right?" Ravi smiled faintly, wiping sweat from his brow. "We're fine. Just a scare? Good. I want full safety checks before anyone resumes work," Thomas replied. "I'll be overseeing remotely while coordinating repairs." The miners worked efficiently, guided by Ravi's knowledge and Thomas's advanced technology. Lights flickered on automated repair drones which moved along the tunnels, reinforcing weak supports and clearing debris. The combination of human skill and advanced machinery created a sense of cooperation that was rare in Vega 9. By late afternoon, the tunnels were secure, and miners were allowed to resume work. Ravi remained vigilant, though he felt a deep pride in Thomas's actions. The commander had arrived quietly, acted decisively, and protected lives without unnecessary display of force. It was a lesson in leadership that Ravi knew the miners would never forget. Outside the tunnels, Thomas inspected the surrounding area. Sensors indicated no further threats. But subtle energy readings suggested that the asteroid drone might not have been entirely random. Someone, somewhere, could have been experimenting with planetary security, and Vega 9 might have been a test site. "Leon," Thomas said, frowning at the data, "we need to trace the origin of that drone. This wasn't just an accident." "Agreed, Commander," Leon replied. I'll scan the sector for unusual signals or transmissions. Meanwhile, Ravi returned to his quarters for a brief rest. Mira had prepared a warm meal and he ate quietly, reflecting on the day. He thought about the miners, the dangers of the tunnels, and the extraordinary presence of his son. Thomas had always dreamed of making a difference, and now he was doing so across planets. Ravi realized that even in a place as harsh as Vega 9, courage and intelligence could change lives. Night fell, and the outpost lights glimmered against the twin moons of the planet. Ravi and Thomas stood side by side on the observation platform overlooking the refinery district. Ravi's face reflected the soft glow of the lights, and Thomas's eyes scanned the horizon. "You've done well," Thomas said quietly. "The miners respect you, and they're safer because of your guidance." Ravi shook his head. "I just do what I can. You're the one with the fleets and technology. That's what matters," Thomas smiled. "Strength comes in many forms. Yours is just as important. Without your knowledge and courage, none of my technology could protect them effectively." At that moment, a faint signal appeared on Thomas's wrist device. Leon had detected it, a hidden transmitter buried deep within the refinery sector. Its signal was weak, but its presence indicated someone was monitoring the outpost. "Father," Thomas said, turning to Ravi, "we may have more than natural hazards to deal with. Someone might be testing this outpost for reasons we don't yet understand." Ravi's eyes narrowed. "Do you think it's the same people who sent the drone?" "It's possible," Thomas replied. "We need to remain vigilant. But don't worry. I will handle this, and I will make sure everyone is safe." The next morning, Thomas organized a small team of fleet-trained officers and local miners willing to help. He combined advanced scanning equipment with human insight. Ravi guided the miners through areas that were difficult to monitor electronically, pointing out weak points, hidden corridors, and access points. Together, they discovered the hidden transmitter tucked beneath a storage unit near the refinery. It was small but sophisticated. Thomas examined it carefully, analyzing its signals. "This device was designed to test security responses," he said. "Whoever planted it wanted to see how the miners and guards would react. And they underestimated you, Father. Your knowledge of this place kept everyone safe." Ravi smiled quietly. "It's not just me. Everyone who works here knows how to survive. I just make sure they stay alive." Thomas placed a hand on his father's shoulder again. "That's true leadership. Not through fear or force, but through care and guidance. That's what makes you extraordinary." The discovery of the transmitter marked a turning point. Thomas's presence on Vega 9 was no longer just protective. It became a deterrent. Guards and workers alike understood that the outpost was under the watchful eye of someone far beyond local authority. The respect for life and for rules of fairness increased naturally, without harsh words or punishment. By the evening, the outpost had regained its rhythm. Miners returned to the tunnels and machinery hummed with renewed efficiency. Ravi watched from the observation platform as the fleet drones patrolled quietly overhead. He felt a sense of pride, not only for his son but for the ordinary people who worked so diligently under harsh conditions. "Father," Thomas said softly, "I want you to know that what happened here today is just the beginning. We will continue to strengthen the outpost, improve safety, and ensure the people have the protection they deserve." Ravi nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. He had lived a life of quiet strength, and now, through his son, he could see the impact of courage and intelligence reaching far beyond what he had imagined. As night settled over Vega 9, the twin moons reflecting light on the metallic streets, father and son stood side by side. The outpost, once just a harsh place of labor and danger, had begun to feel like a protected community. The ordinary miner and the elite commander had shown that courage, knowledge, and care could combine to make a difference, even in the farthest reaches of space. And somewhere in the distance, the faint glow of the galaxy hinted at more challenges, more adventures, and more opportunities for heroism. Vega 9 had changed, and those who lived there would never forget the day when an ordinary miner and his extraordinary son joined forces to protect the lives of many. The twin moons of Vega 9 hung low, casting a pale glow across the metallic streets. The outpost had settled into a fragile calm, yet an undercurrent of tension ran through the air. Miners worked more carefully, guards moved with renewed attention, and even travelers passing through seemed aware that the outpost was now watched by someone extraordinary. Ravi walked among the tunnels, inspecting the supports and checking on the workers. His hands were steady, his mind alert. Though the asteroid drone and hidden transmitter had been neutralized, he sensed that danger might not be over. Experience had taught him that problems rarely arrived alone. Meanwhile, Thomas worked with his aide Leon to trace the origin of the hidden transmitter. The signals had been faint, almost imperceptible, but now, through careful analysis, they detected a pattern. Someone or something was monitoring Vega 9 from a nearby asteroid belt. The devices were sophisticated, clearly designed for reconnaissance. "This isn't random," Thomas said, frowning. "They want information on this outpost, possibly to test vulnerabilities or maybe to plan something bigger." Leon nodded. "Should we take action immediately, Commander?" Thomas shook his head. "Not yet. First, we understand their strategy. Reacting too soon could reveal our capabilities before we need to." Ravi returned to his quarters that evening, exhausted from his day in the tunnels. Mira had prepared a hot meal, and the simple comfort reminded him of why he endured life on Vega 9. He ate quietly, reflecting on the events of the past few days. The presence of his son had brought safety and reassurance, but he knew that Thomas was not someone to act blindly. Every action was calculated and every decision mattered. Suddenly, the comm link buzzed. Tomas's voice came over the speaker. "Father, I need you to come to the observation platform. I want you to see something." Curious, Ravi hurried to the platform. Outside, the night sky was alive with movement. Small, sleek reconnaissance drones moved silently in formation, scanning the outpost from orbit. Their lights glimmered like distant stars, but their purpose was clear. Someone was watching Vega 9 closely. "These drones are highly advanced," Thomas explained. "Not just for observation. They can analyze structures, detect weaknesses, and even coordinate attacks if necessary. Whoever sent them is serious." Ravi's brow furrowed. "They're testing the outpost, aren't they? Seeing how we respond?" "Yes," Tomas said. "But they don't know that we've anticipated them. Leanne and I have tracked the signals back to a hidden base in the asteroid belt nearby. We need to act carefully, but we cannot allow them to continue monitoring." The father and son stood together, silent for a moment. Ravi admired Thomas' calm confidence. Here was a man who commanded fleets, analyzed threats, and protected lives. Yet he also cared deeply for the people below. It was a combination of intelligence, courage, and compassion that Ravi had always known his son possessed. The next morning, Tomas organized a strategic operation. A small fleet of drones guided by advanced AI was deployed to intercept and neutralize the reconnaissance network. At the same time, Thomas worked with the outpost guards, training them in better patrol patterns and surveillance techniques. The combination of human skill and advanced technology created a strong defense without causing unnecessary fear. Ravi assisted by guiding the miners to safe zones, ensuring that operations continued smoothly even as the security measures increased. He moved with quiet authority, his presence alone inspiring confidence among the workers. As the day progressed, the reconnaissance drones approached the outer sectors of Vega 9. Tomas observed their movements from the command center, analyzing patterns, predicting paths, and directing counter-drones to block their progress. The sky became a dance of light and metal, with drones weaving and maneuvering in precise coordination. Ravi watched from the observation platform, astonished. He had spent a lifetime working in the mines, facing dangers daily, but he had never seen technology used with such elegance and precision. His son moved like a conductor, orchestrating every move to protect lives while minimizing conflict. Despite the careful planning, one drone managed to slip through the defenses. It descended toward the refinery district, its sensors scanning for weaknesses. Ravi noticed it immediately and signaled the miners to move to safer positions. Thomas reacted instantly, directing a specialized interceptor drone to intercept the intruder. The two machines collided in a controlled maneuver, disabling the rogue drone without causing damage to the structures below. Sparks flew and a faint hum echoed through the district, but the operation was a success. "Excellent work," Thomas said to Leon. "That drone was the most advanced yet. Whoever controls these machines is skilled. We must remain vigilant." Ravi, watching his son, felt a mixture of pride and awe. Tomas had always been extraordinary, but seeing him in action, protecting lives and solving problems in real time, made him realize the true scale of his son's abilities. As night fell again, the outpost had returned to its rhythm. Miners resumed work, guards patrolled with renewed diligence, and travelers moved safely through the streets. Yet a subtle tension lingered. The hidden enemy had not been defeated, only challenged. Tomas gathered his team for a strategy session. "We've identified the location of the base in the asteroid belt," he said. "It's small but well protected. We need to proceed with caution. A direct attack could escalate the situation. Our goal is to neutralize their reconnaissance without causing unnecessary conflict." Ravi listened quietly, absorbing every word. He had never been part of military strategy before, yet he understood the importance of careful planning and precise action. He realized that courage was not just about strength or endurance. It was also about patience, intelligence, and foresight. Later, Thomas requested a private moment with his father. They stood on the observation platform, overlooking the refinery district. "You've done more than you know," Thomas said softly. "The miners trust you, and your guidance has saved lives. Your courage, your knowledge, it's just as important as any fleet or weapon." Ravi shook his head. "I'm just a miner. I do what I must to survive and help others survive. That's all," Thomas smiled. "It's more than that. You've taught me the same values I now use to lead fleets. Your quiet strength inspires courage in others. That is true heroism." The two stood in silence, watching the twin moons rise over the metallic city. The outpost was safer now, but the universe was vast and challenges always lay ahead. Still, Ravi felt a deep sense of peace. He realized that ordinary people could achieve extraordinary things, and that the combination of intelligence, courage, and compassion could protect lives even in the farthest reaches of space. In the distance, the faint glimmer of the asteroid base could be seen through long-range sensors. The hidden observers were unaware that their actions had been tracked and analyzed. Thomas's plan was already in motion, and when the time came, he would act decisively to neutralize the threat without causing unnecessary harm. And so, Vega 9 continued its life, a mix of industry, danger, and resilience. Miners worked, guards patrolled, and a father and son prepared for challenges that lay beyond the stars. In a universe filled with uncertainty, they had found strength in unity, courage in knowledge, and hope in the protection of others. For Ravi, life in the outpost was still difficult, but he knew one thing with certainty: he was no longer alone. His son, the commander, had arrived. Together, they would face whatever shadows the galaxy sent their way. The story of Vega 9 was far from over, but one thing was clear. Even in the harshest corners of space, courage, intelligence, and care could light the way for a better future. The twin moons of Vega 9 shone brightly over the metallic streets as Ravi walked among the miners, checking that all was in order. The past few days had been tense, filled with danger and uncertainty, but he had never felt more alive. Every miner, guard, and traveler knew that something extraordinary was watching over them, and it gave them confidence. Above the outpost, Thomas stood on the observation deck of the Vigilant Star Shuttle. He had analyzed the asteroid base for hours, carefully studying its defenses, patrol routes, and communication systems. The small base had hidden drones, surveillance, devices, and energy shields designed to make any approach difficult. Yet Tomas's experience, intelligence, and foresight gave him a plan. "Leon," he said calmly, "initiate stealth approach. We will disable the base without unnecessary destruction. Our goal is protection, not punishment." "Yes, Commander," Leon replied, fingers flying over the controls. "All units are ready." Below, Ravi felt a tremor through the ground as distant energy pulses rippled from the asteroid base. Though he was far from the action, his instincts told him that the situation was serious. He moved through the tunnels, ensuring that miners were in safe zones, machinery secured, and guards alert. His steady presence reassured everyone. The first wave of fleet drones emerged from stealth, their sleek silver bodies blending with the darkness of space. Thomas guided them with precision, using both technology and strategy to avoid detection until the right moment. These were no ordinary drones. They were advanced machines capable of disabling enemy equipment, shielding civilians, and even creating protective barriers in emergencies. Ravi watched the sky, noting the faint glimmer of movement. He could feel the tension in the air, though he did not know the exact scale of what his son was doing above the planet. All he knew was that his son was acting, and that gave him hope. Suddenly, the asteroid base activated a small defense system. Pulses of energy flashed through the void, attempting to repel the drones. Tomas's hand moved over the controls with calm authority. Deploy countershields and maintain formation. Keep the drones synchronized. The fleet moved like a single organism, intercepting energy pulses, disabling minor defenses, and advancing toward the base. Thomas calculated every angle, anticipating every possible counterattack. The operation was swift, precise, and nearly invisible from the surface of Vega 9. Inside the asteroid base, operators scrambled, unaware that their movements were being outmaneuvered. One by one, the surveillance devices, drones, and transmitters were neutralized. The base's energy shields flickered and went offline. Tomas allowed a small sigh of relief. Leon, begin extraction of their systems. We need to analyze their technology and ensure no threat remains. Back at the outpost, Ravi observed a subtle change in the atmosphere. The miners and guards had become unusually alert, sensing that something extraordinary was occurring in the sky. Yet Thomas had trained them well. The focus remained on safety, not fear. Minutes later, the asteroid base was fully disabled. Its drones were grounded, its communication systems offline, and its hidden transmitters deactivated. Tomas allowed the fleet to retreat, leaving no lasting damage to the asteroid or its natural surroundings. This was not a conquest. It was a lesson in responsibility and intelligence. Ravi, unaware of the details, felt a deep sense of relief. He had trusted his son, and now he knew that trust had not been misplaced. As the fleet returned to orbit, Thomas initiated a secure transmission to the miners and guards below. People of Vega 9, your safety is ensured. There are no immediate threats. Continue your work with confidence. Your courage and dedication have been recognized and protected. The miners and guards exchanged astonished looks. A calm pride spread through the streets of the outpost. The people realized that even in the most distant corners of space, intelligence, courage, and compassion could prevail. Ravi walked to the observation platform where Thomas was waiting. His eyes shone with quiet admiration. "You've done it," he said softly. Thomas smiled. "It was a team effort. The drones, the outpost workers, and especially your guidance. Everything mattered. This victory isn't just mine, it's ours." Ravi shook his head. "I'm just a miner. I do what I must to survive and help others survive. But seeing what you've done, I understand now. Knowledge, courage, and care, they truly make a difference." Thomas placed a hand on his father's shoulder. "Exactly. That's what HFY, humanity first, even in the far reaches of space, is about. Ordinary people achieving extraordinary things, together." The days that followed brought calm and restoration to Vega 9. Mining operations continued efficiently, with improved safety measures, better equipment, and a new respect for fairness and authority. The guards were more diligent, guided by Thomas's example and the silent presence of justice he represented. Ravi moved among the miners, quietly instructing them, helping where needed, and ensuring the tunnels were safe. His quiet strength had been acknowledged, and it had played a crucial role in the protection of the outpost. Thomas, meanwhile, monitored the sector from orbit, ready to respond if any other threats arose. But for now, Vega 9 was secure. He had demonstrated that intelligence, patience, and courage could prevent destruction, and that careful leadership could save lives without unnecessary conflict. One evening, Ravi and Thomas stood together on the observation platform, looking at the twin moons rising over the metallic city. The outpost hummed with life below them, and the stars beyond promised endless possibilities. "You know," Ravi said, "I never thought the day would come when my son would protect not just me but an entire outpost." Thomas laughed softly. "You've always prepared me for this. Your example of courage, resilience, and care guided me more than you realize." Ravi smiled, feeling pride unlike anything he had ever experienced. The miner had faced dangers. Every day, endured hardship without complaint, and yet it was his lessons and example that helped shape a commander capable of protecting entire planets. "Vega 9 is safer now," Thomas continued. "But this is only the beginning. The galaxy is vast, and humanity must always be ready to defend, protect, and care for those who cannot defend themselves. Ravi nodded. Then we'll face it together. The outpost slept peacefully that night. The streets, the tunnels, and the refineries were quiet, yet a sense of protection lingered in the air. Miners knew that vigilance had allies beyond their understanding, and that courage, intelligence, and humanity could make even the harshest world safe. And so life continued on Vega 9. The ordinary miner and the extraordinary commander had proven that together they could face challenges far beyond imagination. They had shown that the combination of knowledge, courage, and care could overcome danger, inspire hope, and protect lives. The galaxy stretched endlessly beyond the stars, filled with mystery, opportunity, and challenge. Yet for Ravi and Thomas, one truth remained clear. Humanity, when united by courage and wisdom, could achieve greatness anywhere. As the twin moons, reflected on the metallic streets, father and son stood together, ready for whatever came next. Vega 9 would never be the same, and neither would its people. They had witnessed courage, intelligence, and leadership in action, a reminder that even in the furthest reaches of space, humanity could rise, protect, and thrive. And in that rise, ordinary people could achieve extraordinary things, leaving a mark that would inspire generations to come.